Asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityurma amritam gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. Lead us from the unreal to the real. Lead us from darkness unto light. Lead us from death to immortality. Om. Peace, peace, peace. Om. Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurti Namaha. We are on the third verse and we were doing Mahavakya Vichara, an inquiry into the great saying tatwamasi, analysis of tatwamasi. In fact, that is what is going on in the Dakshinamurti Stotra. The first verse, famous Vishwam Darpana Drishyamana, that is like a city seen in a mirror, that is actually an analysis of trying to find out who am I or what am I. The second verse, which we did this morning, is an analysis of tat, Brahman, see on the right hand side of this diagram, in association with the causal, subtle and gross universe. Consciousness in association with causal universe is God. Consciousness in association with causal, remember when I say subtle universe, it already includes the causal. Causal plus subtle. See, when we are sitting right here, we are not just in touch with the gross body. Also subtle body is here. Also causal body is here. So consciousness with the causal universe, with the subtle universe is called Hiranyagarbha, cosmic mind. Consciousness with the causal universe and the subtle universe and physical universe is called Virat or Vishwarupa. So that was discussed in the second verse. And the essence of the second verse was that it is consciousness alone appearing as that causal, subtle and gross universe. Consciousness alone is appearing as that. Basically what's going on here is, see, let me introduce two terms. Superimposition, desuperimposition. What Vivekananda called hypnotization and dehypnotization. The samsari is doing superimposition. The sadhaka, spiritual seeker, is doing desuperimposition. And what is the siddha, the perfected one, doing? Neither superimposition nor desuperimposition. So what is superimposition? What is desuperimposition? Superimposition in Sanskrit is adhyaropa. Desuperimposition, apavada. Adhyaropa, apavada. What is adhyaropa? What is superimposition? It's like this. You start with consciousness. And then you bring in the causal universe or the causal body. And then bring in the subtle body, the mind, subtle universe. And the physical body, or the physical universe. One layer after another layer after another layer. And say, I am who? This body, am this personality, mind, this body, mind, plus a causal body, and I am called Sarvapriyananda. This is superimposition. Superimposition starts with consciousness on the cosmic level. Start with consciousness and we superimpose Maya on it. Adhyaropa, superimpose. And you know, what is the simple way of putting it in English? What is superimposition? Taking one thing for another. It's not imposition in the sense of I put on one set of clothes and then another set of clothes and another layer of clothes. Once I was walking in Central Park and feeling cold, and one person who sees me walking there. And he said to me, layers, Swami, layers, that's the trick. One after another after another. Yes, that's a crude way of understanding superimposition, but technical way of understanding superimposition is taking one thing for the other. Taking the rope for the snake taking it to be a snake, not a rope, is superimposing snake on the rope. Taking the rope to be the snake is superimposing the snake on the rope. Taking consciousness to be Ishvara, consciousness plus Maya, is superimposition. Taking consciousness to be Hiranyagarbha is consciousness plus Maya plus cosmic mind, superimposition. Further superimposition, this is inside out, from inside outwards. Consciousness to be Maya, cosmic mind, and cosmic body, this Virat, that is superimposition, down to this world. Taking consciousness to be the deep sleeper, I in deep sleep, that is superimposition. Taking consciousness to be the dreamer, I in the dream, the one who's in the dream, the person in the dream, that's superimposition. And further superimposition is here, right now. Consciousness plus causal body, plus subtle body, plus physical body. Consciousness plus Anandamaya kosha, Vijnanamaya kosha, Manomaya kosha, Pranamaya kosha, Annamaya kosha, Pancha kosha. 5 layers. And then we are warm and snug now. This is the limit of superimposition. From inside out. From outside, physical body, vital body, mental body, intellect, and then the causal body. Anandamaya. But all of it is actually consciousness. So this putting on layer after layer, taking one thing for the another, and thicker layers of superimposition, or what Vivekananda called hypnotization. The samsari is engaged in this. This is how samsara is possible. Otherwise, samsara is not possible. Now, what are we doing here? The whole retreat, and we all as sadhakas, what are we trying to do? We are not trying to do this. It's already done. And that's how we are here. We are here because all of this, it looks complicated, but trust me, it's just us. It's exactly how we experience ourselves. This is just a picture of how we experience ourselves. This is a picture of how we experience the world. Just the thing is, in this side of the picture, consciousness plus this universe, God, is a matter of belief for us. We don't really experience it unless you are a very elevated mystic. And this is something we believe. This is not what we know, is not what we believe. This is we see. Cosmos, we see. We see the cosmos. And we believe, if you say that God, this is the body of God, that's a belief. Now, what are we doing in this retreat? In this whole process, what are we doing? We are desuperimposing. We are saying, I am not the body, not the mind. Not that we are denying the body and the mind. I am saying, I am not the body. Till now, we are saying, we are the body. I am the body. That is superimposition. Desuperimposition, mano buddhya hankara chittani naham. This one. Not this, not this, not this. Nacha shrotra jivhe, nacha ghrana netre. I am not the sense organs. Not again in this level. Nacha vyoma bhumi, na tejo, na vayu. I am not the physical body made of the 5 elements, and not this. Chidananda rupa, shivoham, shivoham. So this is called desuperimposition. This is the process of neti neti. So when you look at the lake and the reflection, I've been talking about the lake and reflection. Today I saw it's not much of an example because of the wind. You're not seeing the reflection properly. You require a still, clear water, not the wavy water. Then you can't see the beautiful reflection. But if you look at, say, a beautiful tree reflected in the calm water, very clear, with all the details of the leaves and the twigs and the branches and the trunk, and then you say, it is not the leaf, not the twig, not the branch, not the trunk, it is water, that is desuperimposition. Even when you are seeing it, you say it is water. And the fact is, it is water. This is what is going on here. Desuperimposition is what the sadhaka does. Neti neti. Going from here to here. This is in Sanskrit, apavada. Desuperimposition. Apavada. Dehypnotization. Apavada. When Swami Vivekananda was asked, he says, you say that I am he, I am that, I am Brahman. So are we supposed to, sort of positive affirmation, sort of hypnotize ourselves into feeling that I am consciousness? He said, no, we are already hypnotized. This is dehypnotization. In Sanskrit, apavada. This adhyaropa apavada, superimposition, desuperimposition, this is the heart of Vedanta. This is the process of Vedanta. Adhyaropa apavadabhyam nishprapancham prapanchate. This is the formula. What does it mean? By the process of superimposition and desuperimposition, that which is transcended, utterly transcendent beyond the universe, is explained clearly. This is the meaning. Adhyaropa apavadabhyam. By the process of superimposition, desuperimposition. Nishprapancham. That which is transcendent, beyond prapancha, beyond the universe. This one. You can't point it out otherwise. It's beyond language, beyond speech. Then how is it pointed out? By superimposing and then removing, desuperimposing. Hopefully you will catch what is that you are pure consciousness. It is the story of the student who went to the teacher and said, "Sir, please show me. I want to learn. Give me knowledge." "What do you want to know?" "I want to learn what is sky, akasha." The teacher said, "That's fairly easy. Here in front of you." "Oh, the ashram. That's the akasha." No. Beyond, outside, beyond the ashram." "Oh, the garden. That's akasha." No, beyond, behind. "Oh, the fence. That is akasha. The wall." The teacher said, "I see the problem. Whatever you point to, there's something there. That the space is akasha. That person doesn't get it. Somehow he doesn't get it. And all of these things you're pointing towards, they are also in space. It doesn't get it. How will you show?" Then the teacher said, "All right, stay with me for some time. And I'll give you some ashram duties." What are you supposed to do? Cultivate the garden. Plant sunflowers. So he planted sunflowers and he would tend them and he would water those plants. And in time, those plants, they sprouted. And sunflower plants, they grow very high. So they grew high and covered the entire front of the ashram. All big sunflower plants with big round sunflowers. 6 months passed. Then one day the teacher said to the student who was hard at work in the garden, "Wait, today here is a sickle." Gave him a sickle. "Cut." "Which one?" "All of it. Quick. "What? Destroy the garden? Quick. Don't delay. Quick, cut." And started cutting. And teacher would hurry him on. Faster. Until he was, the poor fellow was nearly exhausted. He cut the whole, cleared it up. And looked at the teacher. "What are you up to?" And the teacher said, "Look, space." He covered the whole thing up. With sunflower plant, big ones. So it covered the space. Then removed it. You'll have empty space suddenly. Look, space. To see, appreciate the emptiness of space, you need to cover it up and remove the covering. This is superimposition, desuperimposition. Remember, samsari superimposes, and you are busy with this. You need the tree. The sadhaka, spiritual seeker, practitioner, desuperimposition, dehypnotization, neti, and comes to pure consciousness. Siddha, the enlightened one, perfectly comfortable. When this whole thing is appearing, the Siddha knows it is nothing but pure consciousness. He's not busy. The enlightened one is not busy saying, "I'm not the body, I'm not the mind, I'm pure consciousness." No, not at all. Are you busy when you see the forest? Are you immediately rush, "Oh my God, the forest is being reflected in the lake. It's not a tree, it's not a leaf, it's water. Are you busy doing that? You know it is water. And further, you know it is the glory of the lake to appear in such an amazing, colorful form. You know it is pure consciousness, it is Brahman, and it's the glory of Brahman to appear in all these forms. It is the beauty and the joy, it is the Leela, it is Ananda. Upanishad, what language? Go on, this living being here right now, life. We are trying to transcend it, go beyond. Upanishad says, no. Taittiriya Upanishad, it says, Gohanyat, kah pranyat, yadiyesha ananda akashanasyat. Who would breathe in? Who would breathe out even one breath if this sky full of delight, the sky of delight were not here? Calls God the sky of delight, Ananda Akasha. If the sky of delight were not here, who would breathe in, who would breathe out? It wouldn't exist at all. It's a delight. Every breath that we take reveals our glory as Brahman, as consciousness. It doesn't have to say, "Oh, that is body, that is pranamaya, annamaya." We are talking about Atman, which is beyond prana. No, even the pranamaya, annamaya, manomaya, vijnanamaya, everything reveals the glory of God, of Brahman, this consciousness, that it can appear in these amazing ways. All right. So this is what is going on here. Before we dive into the rest. What we're going to do now, I had said, Mahavakya Vichara, inquiry into the Mahavakya. The teacher taught the student Mahavakya and then the student was enlightened. What is this teaching of the Mahavakya? We are going to dwell on that. But before we enter into the technicalities, let me give you the gist, the essence of it, the beauty of it, in just a few words. Look at this diagram. In this diagram, the self, consciousness, is undeniable. Nobody can deny that I am. And if you notice that I am, the undeniable I am, it is consciousness only. Existence consciousness, let's put it that way. Are you with me this way? I am. I am actually has two parts, I and am. The amness is the existence part of it. It is, I am, amness. The I part of it is bare I part of it, is what is called naked awareness, just awareness, bare awareness itself, without any object. That cannot be denied. Try as much as you will, you cannot deny it. If you say, I don't exist, Atman doesn't exist, but that itself, the Atman itself is saying it. To you, the consciousness alone will be proved, the so-called denial of the self, denial of consciousness. So this consciousness awareness cannot be denied. Even if you manage to prove it. Daniel Dennett was a great philosopher, passed away just I think few months ago. He called consciousness an illusion. That's the most ridiculous thing that anybody can say. He has a reason for calling it that, but the most ridiculous thing, because that the consciousness is an illusion, he proved it to himself. Who is consciousness? Daniel Dennett. Consciousness is the only thing where to prove something right and to prove something wrong, equally you need consciousness. Everything in the world, the existence of everything can be proved to consciousness. The absence of anything and everything in the world can be proved to consciousness. But that is the meaning of proof. Revelation to consciousness. How will you deny consciousness then? If you were technically able to prove the non-existence of consciousness, it would be proved to consciousness. Okay, so the self, two things, self, not self. That's all that there is in the universe, you and everything else. Your own existence, our own existence, consciousness is undeniable. Point one. Point two. What is the not self? The whole universe, body, mind, everything. I'll introduce a Sanskrit term. Swa atyanta bhava adhikarane bhasamanatvam mithyatvam. Appearing in the locus of one's absence is falsity. Appearance in the locus of one's absence is falsity. Locus, place. Where X is absent, if you see X there, you know that X is not there, but you see X there, what you are seeing is false. There is no snake in the rope, but if you see a snake in the rope, then that snake is false. There is no forest in the lake, but if you see a forest in the lake, then that forest is false. It's an appearance, mithya. In consciousness, there is no air, fire, water, there are no planets and snails and elephants and in consciousness there is only consciousness. If you think about what consciousness can be or could be, you can't stuff it with anything else. There is no space. It's all occupied. By what? Consciousness. As one sadhu put it, "Jyun katyon thasa thas bharpur." It is as it is, packed tight. Tight with what? Existence. Packed tight with what? Consciousness. There cannot, it's another just a funny way of putting it, that there cannot be anything in consciousness except consciousness. And yet in consciousness appears a causal body, a subtle body, a physical body, a universe. That which appears in the locus of its own absence is false. Swa atyanta bhava adhikarane bhasamanatvam mithyatvam. The universe appearing in the locus of its absence in consciousness has to be a false universe. It's not a real universe. That's it. Your own existence as consciousness, undeniable, and the appearance of the not you, the other, it's an appearance in you. It's nothing other than you. It's nothing other than consciousness appearing as not itself. All this sounds very abstract. But look at the implication of it. Look at the implication of it. I'll tell you the implication there. So what I just said, what is the grand outcome, the implication of what I just said, practically for our lives? For this, let me tell you, this monk whom I met in the Himalayas, he was the student of a very great Advaita teacher. That great Advaita teacher, some of you may have heard of his name, Tapovan Swami, the guru of Swami Chinmayananda. So he was a great non-dualist teacher, very radical non-dualist teacher I won't say radical, classical non-dualist teacher in the high Himalayas, who lived between Uttarkashi and Gangotri in those days. You can't come down from that level. So in that level. Serious students who would come, only serious students would approach him. First of all, you have to be a monk to approach him. Others are not entertained. And if you approach him for studying, you have to stay with him. In the neighborhood. You don't get room or lodging. You find your own cave or your hut. You have to be a monk and stay in a cave or hut. And food is what you beg. And all you get, you don't get initiation, he does not initiate anyone as a disciple, does not initiate anyone into sannyasa. All you get is 2 classes in a day. Morning class, afternoon class. That's all. Questions also not entertained. If you ask a question, he would listen carefully to you, and then, actually this is all reports from people who knew him. Jaiye manan kijiye brahmachari ji. Oh brahmachari, go back to your hut and think about it. Think about it, what I said. No answers. So this person I met was an attendant of this Tapovan Swami for the last 30, 40 years of his life. So I knew him very intimately and traveled with him, wandered across the Himalayas with him. His name was Sundarananda Swami. But he was not the typical student whom Tapovan Swami accepted. The typical student would have to be well-read and, knew some amount of Sanskrit at least and all of that. This was a young boy, quite unlettered, hadn't even finished school. But he became the attendant of Tapovan Swami. And so for him, Tapovan Swami said, Khule nain dekhu sahab ko. With open eyes I see my Lord. I see my master, my Lord, with open eyes. So I remember him telling me this. He was sitting in the Gangotri, 10,000 feet high in the Himalayas, with the towering mountains all around, the Deodar forests rolling down, high above the glaciers, below the Ganga. And he said, Khule nain dekhu sahab ko. With open eyes I see my Lord. And he said, his guru told him from the Rig Veda, Pashya devasya kavyam yona jiryati na mamara. Look upon the poetry of the Lord, which neither decays nor dies. What is the poetry of the Lord? Look at these mountains. Look at the river Ganga. Look at the sky. Especially he meant the Himalaya and the Ganga. So let these be your object of meditation. Here itself you will see God with open eyes. You don't need subtle Vedantic reasoning. You don't need deep yogic samadhi. With open eyes you will appreciate the Lord. See, what is the non-self that we see? It is the self alone. It is Atman alone. We just talked about it. The self cannot be denied, and the non-self is an appearance. Appearance of what? In what? In the self. In consciousness. Self itself is appearing as the not-self. That's what Sureshwaracharya was saying. This world is nothing other than light. It rests, comes back and rests in light. So, Khule nain dekhu sahab ko. Whenever with open eyes you're seeing the world, enlightened one sees the Lord. So the enlightened one has to sit quietly in meditation and then realize Nirvikalpa Samadhi Brahman. Maybe, no problem. But eyes open also same Brahman. With ears open also same Brahman. Brahman as sound. It's like the difference between trying to see the lake without the reflected forest and trying to see and seeing the lake with the reflected forest. When the forest is reflected in the lake, do you work very hard to remove the reflection so that I can see the pure lake? No. With the reflection itself, when I see the lake, I'm seeing the lake. That's the exact condition of the enlightened one. With eyes open, with ears open, walking, talking, eating. Brahmarpanam, Brahmavi, Brahmagno, Brahmanahutam. Don't get hungry. We still got some time. Brahmaiva tena gantavyam Brahma karma samadhina. The one who sees Brahman in the midst of action, not midst of meditation. in the midst of action, cooking, driving, working, teaching, nursing, whatever you are doing, business, in the war, Arjuna. In the midst of action, the one who sees Brahman is called Brahma Karma Samadhi. Kena Upanishad says, Pratibodha viditam amritatvam hi vindate. In every experience, remember what is meant by experience in Kena Upanishad, not just spiritual experience, not samadhi. The student asked, what is it that makes my mind think, ears hear and eyes see? In those experiences, if you see Brahman, if you're seeing things and you see Brahman, you're hearing things and you hear Brahman. And so in every experience, Brahman is experienced. Khule nain dekho sahab ko. With open eyes do I see my Lord. In every experience, on the left side and the right side, you know that you are seeing that central, that consciousness alone. Seeing means experiencing. Then, as I said, that monk who said it, the result of this, such a soaring claim for Vedanta. To Mahatma ji, kahin koi mrityu nahi. Oh monk, no death anywhere. See, there is death on this side. Bodies die. Thoughts also perish. Every day, mind goes to sleep. Millions of people are dying daily. So, bodies die. There is death in this world. But he says there is no death anywhere. Because what he is seeing there in all this changing world is that one central consciousness. In that central sun of consciousness, where is death? It's always there. When the beautiful fall colors are reflected in the lake, after some time the fall colors go away, it's dry wood reflected in the lake. What about the lake? It has the same lake. Same lake. Kahin koi mrityu nahi, kahin koi jadata nahi. There is no unconsciousness, no darkness anywhere. In the central sun of consciousness, which is experienced everywhere, including deep sleep also, no darkness. No darkness anywhere. Kahin koi dukh nahi. It is ananda. So in every experience, including the so-called painful, miserable, sorrowful ones, no death, no sorrow. Which enables Sri Ramakrishna, when he sees the death of his beloved nephew Akshay, at the time when the boy was dying, he was standing and smiling he was in an ecstasy. Later people thought he's cruel, but he says, no, I saw clearly the boy, the consciousness, the jivatma leaving the body. Person is still there. That boy is still there. It's just the body. He says, like a sword being withdrawn from the scabbard. Of course, later he cried intensely because he deeply missed that person in that particular name and form is not available anymore, gone forever. And you miss that person. So Sri Ramakrishna, very remarkable. He is the bridge between the human and the divine. If you only saw the central sun, he wouldn't be much use to us. We would admire him and say, oh, wonderful. But we can't be like that. But he shows how we are, he shows that. And he shows how, what is that, seeing the divinity all the time. In his own, when he was dying of cancer, or at least the body was dying of cancer, someone asked him, how do you feel now? And he says, it hurts here, I can't eat. That's how a cancer patient would feel. But at the same time, the person who observed him said, but you are in great bliss. You are in great bliss. So, how are you in great bliss? In cancer, was he feeling the pain of cancer? Yes, he was. But still in great bliss. Because in that pain also, this is shining forth. That pure consciousness. Okay. All this is the practical implication. Now we are going to go into the analysis of tatwamasi. Why? Remember, don't forget where we are. The third verse in the second line. It says, Sakshat tatwamasi iti vedavachasa yo bodhayatyashritan. That Guru, Dakshinamurti appearing as my Guru, illumines the disciples who have taken refuge in him by the Vedic text. Which Vedic text? Tatwamasi. Okay. Now I'll say, we'll dive into the technical part of it and then some general observations about this tatwamasi. First, the technical part of it. Those who have studied Vedanta Sara, you know What is the analysis? Now we are going to analyze the sentence itself. We have already talked about what it means. This is what it means. But now let's look at the sentence. You are that. Tatwamasi. That means what? On the right hand side. You means what? On the left hand side. You are that means what? In the middle. Pure consciousness. How do we analyze it? So tatwamasi, what's the problem? The problem is, it is saying that the left hand side is equal to the right hand side. It's an equation. But it's obviously not so. It is saying that the beggar is equal to the emperor. It's obviously not so. Jiva on this side is Jiva, Tvam. On that side is Ishvara, Tat. Jiva and Ishvara, there is tremendous bheda, tremendous contradiction, tremendous difference. Jivas are many. Ishvara is one. Jiva is so tiny. Ishvara is vast. Sarvavyapi, all pervasive. Covers the whole universe. And we hardly cover one chair. So, then Ishvara is all-knowing, Sarvagya, omniscient. Jiva knows very little. We are discussing all this. Alpagya. Ishvara is all-powerful, can do anything, creates the universe. And Jiva is very, very little power. Alpa-shaktiman. Ishvara is eternal. Jiva is continuously born and dying. Jiva is also eternal in a sense, but subject to many births and deaths. Mrityu samrityum apnoti, goes from death to death to death. So such a miserable creature. Sometimes in human body, sometimes in animal body, sometimes in plant body, sometimes in God body, sometimes in, God means Devata. Sometimes is in hellish beings. So it goes through many, many of these experiences. How can it be the same? So tattvamasi does not make sense. Does not make sense. Now, how do you make it make sense? I'm going to skip some stages. There are two preliminary stages which I'm going to skip over. We don't have time. I'm going straight to the question of direct meaning and implied meaning. What Vedanta says is that the direct meaning of the words tat and tvam they cannot be reconciled. The individual being is not God, no matter how much we would have wanted it to be true. Yes, I am God. No, we are not. The fact is, this is a fact. We just look at our own lives. We are not God. We don't create, preserve, and destroy the universe. We are not omniscient, omnipotent. Not at all. Far cry. In fact, another major difference between Jiva and Ishvara, in fact, the most direct difference, is that Jiva, I am directly available to myself. I experience myself. Even before I experience the world, I know my own existence. This is called aparoksha, non-indirect. The world for me is pratyaksha, perceptual. And Ishvara, God for me is paroksha. Paroksha means something I've heard about, read about, I've been told about, is a matter of belief. Unless you are a mystic who is experiencing God, but otherwise it's a matter of belief for most of us. That's why people may choose to believe, may choose to not believe in God. There are many who do not believe in God. There are in fact religions which do not believe in God. Jainism, Buddhism, in Hinduism, Sankhya. You don't believe in God. So you have an option. You may not believe in God. That option is possible because God is a matter of belief for most people. But my own existence is not a matter of belief. My own existence is a matter of direct, not perception even, prior to perception. World is a matter of perception. And I, me, myself, there's no English word for it, it's immediate. Immediate in the sense not mediate, not mediated through eyes or ears, even not mediated through thought. My own existence is prior to even thinking. You don't think, if somebody asks you, are you here? If you ask somebody else, is such and such person here? They'll say, let me see. I see the person. Or, let me see the register of attendees. Oh, it's there, written. Seeing, perception. Register, Veda, scripture. It's there. But about you, yourself, I, myself, somebody asks you, are you here right now? We'll say, let me see. Yes, I'm here. No, you don't use perception. Do you say, let me see the register? My name is there, so I must be here. No, you don't do that. You don't go to scriptures, you don't go to perception. Before perception, before scripture, you directly. Jiva is aparoksha, Ishvara is paroksha. All this to say, Jiva is aparoksha, Ishvara is paroksha. How can they be the same? Now, what Vedanta says is, cutting to the chase. I am cutting out a lot of material to go to the heart of things. We've got up to 5:15, right? Yeah. Or 5 o'clock. And then Arati is? So we have got up to 5:15. No. 3:45? Up to 5:15, yes. 5:15. We have got up to 5:15. So we have time. Yeah, that's right, 5:15. Right? 3:45 to 5. Oh. 3:45 to 5. So we have... All right. We will adjust Vedanta accordingly. Vedanta can be infinitely adjusted. You can give long, long discourses, write books and books, or you can write even a shorter one, Dasha Sloki, Shankaracharya wrote 10 verses. That's still too long. All right, 6 verses, Nirvana Shatakam. Then Eka Shloki, 1 verse. Even that's too long. Then Mahavakya, 1 sentence, short, you are that, tatwamasi. Even that's too long. Then only Om. Even that's too long. Then only 1 gesture. That's too much. I won't see. Then it says silence. That also can convey Vedanta. So Vedanta can be infinitely shortened or lengthened. It can go on for ages and ages. So, the tatwamasi, the word tat and the word tvam. Now, the two words do not fit. You can see. Tat is on the right side, on the left side, and tvam is on the left side and tat on the right side. They do not fit for all the reasons I have outlined. When the two words do not fit and yet they have to fit, they are because the Upanishad says so, the instruction says so, then we look for the sense in which they can fit. In what sense can they fit? When the direct meanings of the words are not applicable, we look for the indirect meaning. We look for the indirect meaning. So we have to look for the indirect meaning here. Implied, what is called implied meaning. In Sanskrit, Vachyartha, Lakshyartha. Vachyartha means direct meaning, dictionary meaning. What we usually mean when we use a word. And Lakshyartha, Lakshya means implied. Intended, intention. What is intended to be said here? So, the intentional meaning, the implied meaning, Lakshyartha. 2 meanings. The direct meaning, Vachyartha, of Tvam is the Jiva, the individual being. That fellow with the body and the mind and the causal body and consciousness, this one. The direct meaning of Tat is God, Ishvara, Hiranyagarbha, Virat, that one. What is the implied meaning? Now here comes a little wrinkle. The way of taking out, processing it, we have to do a bit of linguistic processing here. The implied meaning can be of 3 kinds. Actually many kinds, but for broadly speaking 3 kinds. 3 possibilities are there. One is called Jahat Lakshana, one is called Ajahat Lakshana, one is called Jahat Ajahat or Bhagatyaga Lakshana. What does it mean? All sounds mouthful of Sanskrit words. Implication by abandonment of prior meaning. That is Jahat Lakshana. I'll explain now. It's all pretty simple. And we keep using it all the time without knowing we are doing such fancy things. So, for example, the classical example given is, let me use an example which Swami Vivekananda himself used. Belur on Ganges. In England you see Stratford on Avon. Stratford on Avon is where? Shakespeare's house is there. Avon is the river and Stratford is the town. So when you say Stratford on Avon, you don't mean that the town is in the river. That would be very bad flooding, right? You mean it's on the bank of the river Avon. Swami Vivekananda used to write letters. There are letters from Swami Vivekananda. It says, Belur on Ganges, Belur Mutt on the Ganges. That's the address. But that does not mean the monastery is in the Ganges. Sometimes it is. So because the monastery is on the bank of the Ganga, and the Ganga is subject, that is near the delta, so where it is subject to tides, high tide and low tide of the ocean, and you can see the river, it goes up and down, and in the rainy season, the river is swollen, so it floods the monastery. Then the monastery is really in the Ganges at that time. I have myself seen one night when I was a novice in the training center. I used to live on the first floor, on the upper floor, I mean the British system of first floor and ground floor. And at midnight we heard a commotion. The ground floor is getting flooded. All the monks who lived downstairs are being shifted to the first floor because the ground floor is getting flooded. One brahmachari told me that he was sleeping happily midnight or 1 o'clock. Suddenly a gurgling sound. And he looked and he saw water flowing. Already the ground was flooded. And not only that, a fish swam in. And not only that, a snake swam in. That was too much for him. Then, overnight they relocated. So, then the Belur was really on the Ganges. But generally what it means, on the bank of the Ganga. So when you say Belur on Ganges or Stratford on Avon, you mean, you don't take the original meaning because that doesn't make sense. You automatically mean it's on the bank of the Ganga. However, what you do, you give up the original meaning and you take approximate meaning which makes sense. On the bank of the Ganga. You cannot take any meaning, however. You can't say Belur on Ganga means it's on the bank of the Yamuna river. No. It has to be on the bank of the Ganga river. Belur on Ganga means on the bank of the river, not. It's a language issue. And that's what it's a meaning issue. If you literally take Belur on Ganga, it has no meaning, and therefore you take it. So you give up the original meaning. Can we do that here? This is called Jahat. Jahat means giving up. Can we give up the original meaning? What is the original meaning of the Jiva, of Tvam? Pure consciousness plus causal body and subtle body and physical body. Now we are not interested in the physical body, subtle body, causal body. Those are appearances. We are interested in pure consciousness. If you give up the original meaning, you are giving up pure consciousness itself. You are giving up Atman, Brahman itself, because that is included in the Jiva. What is a Jiva? See, pure consciousness plus causal body plus subtle body plus physical body. This. I want to say, I am Chidananda Rupa Shivoham. I am consciousness. Not the body, not the mind. But if you do that, you are giving up basically throwing out the baby with the bath water. On the other side, Ishvara, it's pure consciousness plus Maya. If you give up the whole meaning of Ishvara, then you have lost the pure consciousness, Atman or Brahman also. So you see, this method of taking implied meaning, which is the method Jahad Lakshana, by discarding the prior meaning entirely and taking some kind of new proximate meaning, it will not work. Because if you discard the original meaning, you have discarded Brahman also. Thrown out the baby with the bathwater. Another option is there. The other option is, you don't discard the original meaning. You keep the original meaning. And you add something to it. Then it makes sense. The classic example given is that in the Vedantic example, Shona Dhavati. The red is running. Now the red cannot run. The thing is, in English, the red can run. A color can run. If it gets wet, it starts running. But anyway, what he means there is the red horse is running. So these Vedantins were also betting on horses. They were racetrack goers. There is an aside which I cannot resist. Swami Trigunatitananda in the Vedanta Society of Northern California. After Swami Turiyanandaji sort of forcefully went back to India, he didn't want to stay here. He was replaced by Swami Trigunatitananda. Now Swami Turiyananda, for all his Vedanta, would leave everything to the mother. Don't plan, let the mother do as she will. And Trigunatyananda, see, the enlightened people can be of very different natures. Trigunatyananda came in, and one of the American disciples in San Francisco, he's writing, the new Swami does not believe in leaving things to the mother. Soon the ashram was plastered with sayings. Do it now. Another place it was saying, it is written, do or die, and below that, but you will not die. And so on. So Trigunatyananda came in. Now, he was trying very hard to become American, but he had the thrifty habits of a monk. So he went out searching for Western clothes, and he came back. I forget her name, this lady who was the head of the Vedanta Society at that time. She was horrified to see the Swami dressed like that, a very colorful coat. She says, Swami, this is what people in the racetrack wear. You can't wear this. I will absolutely not permit you to wear this, because he had got it for cheap. He had rummaged through the second-hand markets, the flea markets, and got the cheapest and most colorful coat he could find. He thought it was an approximate to the orange. He says, I can't allow you to wear this. This is what the people in the racetrack wear. So she wouldn't allow him to wear it, but because he had purchased it with such delight, he would still put it on when nobody was watching and walk around, stride around inside the ashram. So Shona Dhavati means the red is running. It means the red horse is running. So to make sense of the red is running. So you can imagine the scene. People are excitedly shouting, look, the red one is going ahead, the red one is going ahead. What do you mean by the red is going? The red is going to win. You mean the red horse is going to win. So you add one more word, one more meaning to it, and then the whole thing makes sense. Shona Ashwadhavati, the red horse is running. You add one more. Now what will you add to tatwamasi to make it meaningful? To make it that I am pure consciousness, Chidananda Rupa Shivoham, what will you add? The problem is adding anything will not solve the problem. I, the jiva, if I am still the body, the mind, and yes, pure consciousness, and on top of that you add something, maybe some supernatural powers or something, but I'm still a body, still a mind, still in the samsara, because the original meaning has to be kept. Jiva has to be kept. Jiva plus something, will tatwamasi make meaning? No, it will not. The story which I love about this is, so a couple were going to a party, and the wife told the husband, get ready, we have to go to the party. He said, yes, I'm getting ready. And the wife said, what's that awful smell? Good Lord, how long haven't you changed your socks? So he said, in a week or something like that. He said, absolutely not, put on new socks, put on fresh socks. We're going to a party, there'll be important people around. I can't have you stinking like that. So they go to the party. And in the party where the people are circulating, talking and all, the wife sidles, sort of comes close to the husband and whispers, I thought I told you to change your socks. The husband says in a wounded voice, but I did. I put on fresh socks. And the wife says, but I still smell it, the horrible smell. So, I put old socks in my pocket. The old one is in his pockets. And of course the smell is there. So if you keep your identity as body, mind, as a jiva, and you add fresh socks, it will not remove your sorrow. It will not serve the purpose. So the second method of taking implied meaning, ajahat lakshana, that is implied meaning without sacrificing the prior meaning. It's very fancy, but all it means is adding one more word. That also won't work here. What we need is to get rid of the identification with body, mind, and say that I am consciousness alone. I am Brahman alone. Jiva is consciousness plus body, mind. So we need to retain the consciousness part of it and get rid of the body, mind part of it. For you need to retain part of the original meaning and get rid of part of the original meaning. So there is a third method of taking an implied meaning, and that's called the jahat ajahat. As it sounds like, it says partial sacrificing and partial retainment of the original meaning. Partially you let go of the meaning and partially you retain it. It sounds complicated, but we do it all the time. I bought a mango. It means you bought the mango with the seed, everything. You don't buy the mango without the seed, the whole mango you bought. Now you say, I ate the mango. then you mean you have left the seed out and the skin out and you have eaten only the flesh of the fruit. But you use the same term. You don't explain any further. Everybody understands it. So when you use the term mango in the first case, bought the mango at Whole Foods or somewhere, and there you mean mango with the skin and the flesh and the seed. But when you say, I ate the mango, you mean you ate the flesh of the mango without this big seed and the skin. So in the second case, you have taken the part of the meaning of the word mango and partly sacrificed what is meant by the word mango. By the word mango, it means skin, flesh, seed. But when you said, I ate the mango, you let go of the skin, of the seed, and you meant only the flesh, the part which is intended. So implied meaning. And this is something we do all the time. I would do in our monastery, we would say, I'm going to take a bath in the Ganges, in the Ganga bath in the Ganga. The Ganga means, if you look it up Wikipedia or Google, it will tell you that Ganga is the river, body of water flowing from Gomukh up to the Bay of Bengal, thousands of kilometers across the plains of India. Are you going to take a bath from Gomukh to Bay of Bengal? Are you going to float down the river? No. You just mean that you're going to the monastery where there is the bathing ghat, you're going to go there and take a dip. That's all you mean. So you're going to take a bath in a tiny part of the river. But you say, I'm going to take a bath in the Ganga. When you say, I'm going to take a bath in the Ganga, you mean that tiny part of the river. When you say the Ganga is a river in India, you mean the whole river. So you have taken only part of the meaning. Similarly, we'll take part of the meaning here. Which part of the meaning? Not the body, not the mind, not the causal body, not Maya, not cosmic mind, not the cosmic body. We are taking only consciousness. What allows you to do that? Emperor's new clothes. The story? Emperor has no clothes. It's a little boy who pointed it out. So you can dismiss the emperor's clothes. You can dismiss the beggar's clothes. You just take the actor. What allows you to do that? Because the actor is not a beggar. The actor is not an emperor, really speaking. Those are assumed roles, assumed dialogue, assumed dress. Similarly, pure consciousness by itself is not a jiva, is not even Ishvara. Jiva and Ishvara are both assumed. Both in the level of, when Brahman appears as this universe and as the jivas, to the jivas and the universe, Brahman appears as Ishvara. If you have a world, if you have jivas, you have God. That God is Brahman, actually, but with Maya, Saguna Brahman. That God is jiva, with body and mind, individual beings, many of them. And that God is the world itself. Just now they're singing, Jada Chetana, Dono me dole. It shines, it moves, it sways, that reality. In what you call all living beings, look, here they are. But in what you call non-living beings also, table, this bell, this chair, it's the same consciousness is there. You have to get rid of you have to take your eyes off the body mind of the jiva, the name and form of the jada, the glorious maya of Ishvara, you find one consciousness there. This is where the falsity of the universe becomes applicable. If the universe were not an appearance, you can't, if it was really an emperor, really a beggar, can you say the beggar is an emperor? Of course not. Of course not. But if it's an actor playing two roles, then you can really say that the beggar is the emperor. Beggar is the emperor is like saying tatwamasi. Tat is the emperor, tvam is the beggar is the emperor. Or the emperor is the beggar. Because the emperor is not really an emperor, it's pure consciousness. The beggar is not really a beggar, it's pure consciousness. Therefore, tatwamasi makes sense. So this is the analysis of the statement tatwamasi. This is only the final part of the analysis. Direct meaning will not work. We need indirect meaning or implied meaning. Implied meaning can be of 3 types for our purposes. There can be 17 types actually, but anyway. And for our purposes, 3 types. And out of these 3 types, the first 2 are rejected for good reasons, and the third one is selected. And what I just said was the linguistic side of it. The actual, what is happening in the world and in the universe, that is represented there. I am this pure consciousness. General statement about, so this is the technical side of it. Analysis of Mahavakya, when he says the Guru teaches the Mahavakya. All of Vedanta is comprehended in this Mahavakya. General statement about it, some observation, and then we'll go for question answer. The Mahavakya itself is sort of a global view of spirituality, of religion. You are that tatwamasi. There are religions which are God-centered. Look, which are centered around Tat. Christianity, Islam, Judaism. In Hinduism, Shaivism, we are worshipping Dakshinamurti as God. Ishvaro Gururatmeti. So God-centered approach. What is the religion about? It's about God, our Father in heaven, about Allah, about Jehovah, about Dakshinamurti, about the Divine Mother. Kali Puja is coming up, about the Divine Mother. So, God-centered. That is a Tat-centered religion. And then there are religions, I won't say self-centered, that sounds very bad. Self-inquiry based religion. Where it's not so much about God, it's about who am I or what am I. Buddhism is one such, an inquiry into oneself. Jainism is another one. Yoga, Sankhya in Hinduism, they're all self-inquiry methods. You notice I'm leaving Advaita out. You thought I would put Advaita there. No. And the two approaches are very different. The God-centered religions, if you look closely at them, you will find songs and temples and churches and rituals and festivals, food, lots of food. And it's devotional, often social, often congregational, prayer. And on the other side, I'm drawing a big picture, broad brush strokes. So on the self-inquiry based religions, you will find rather meditation halls, philosophical analysis. Sometimes these self-inquiry based approaches are heavily monastic in nature. If you see Buddhism, Jainism, they are heavily monastic in nature. Sankhya, Yoga, they were with the forest hermits mostly. Both have their advantages and disadvantages. The God-centered religions have a really big disadvantage, which is their God is, as I said, based on faith. God-centered religion cannot start unless you believe in God. That God which you are speaking about there, consciousness associated with the whole universe. Whole universe I can see. The scientist will tell you. I can see the whole universe. Where is this consciousness associated with the whole universe? Yes, you can say in the 11th chapter, Arjuna saw it. But that's only Arjuna. I don't see it. I have to believe in your 11th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So, it is based on faith. And that's the weakness. Because if you don't believe, then that God-centered religion will not work for you. Especially in this day. Richard Dawkins, Christopher Hitchens, oh, bless his soul. Then Sam Harris, they are all out to attack. Who else? And there are many others. And there always have been throughout history atheists, skeptics, who question God, whether the existence of God. Always there have been. Maximum in this day and age. As far as we know in history, there haven't been so many declared atheists in the world as there are today. And also, atheism is high culture today. So if you believe in God, you're a little dumb. You're sort of ordinary. But we sophisticated folk, we don't believe in God. We don't believe in such things. We are above it. We float above such things what the ordinary mortals believe in. Richard Dawkins was asked, you talk about atheism, militant atheism, but only a tiny fraction of the world's population is atheist. 99.99% are, they believe in God. This was after the collapse of Soviet Union and communist China not being communist China anymore. Otherwise, 1.5 billion Chinese would be put in atheists. But that's not so anymore. Richard Dawkins gave a devastating reply. He said, yeah, that's true. Yes, that's true. But if you sample the population of the world's Nobel laureates, and that was done actually, I think 80 or 90% of them said we are either atheist or agnostic. We don't believe in it. And so Dawkins understated British humor. He said, so that draw your own conclusions. The conclusion says, the smarter you are, the less likely you are to believe in God. The more dumb you are, the more likely you are to believe in God. So faith. And then, so that's the big problem with the God-centered religion, faith. You may not believe. Then it will not start for you. It will not start. You can't start God-centered religion with doubts. Then on the other hand, there is the self-inquiry based religion that does not have this problem, because nobody can deny the existence of themselves. God-centered religions always have proofs of the existence of God. Huge amount of effort is spent in proving the existence of God. Saint Augustine, Saint Thomas Aquinas, 5 proofs of the existence of God. The ancient Nayayika, Udayanacharya and other Nayayikas also, they were fighting against the Buddhists who denied the existence of God. Professor Parimal Patil has written a book, very dense book, Against a Hindu God. So those are the Buddhist arguments against God. And the defense of God by Udayanacharya, 9 proofs of the existence of God. Why this anxiety to prove the existence of God? Because it's possible to doubt it. That's why you prove. You can always doubt whether God exists or not. So devotees, they can sometimes be infected with doubt. The problem is there along the path. This is a serious problem. Sri Ramakrishna is called Samshaya Rakshasa Nasha Mahastram, the great weapon which destroys doubt. But it's a problem in the path of devotion. In the path of inquiry, that problem is not there, because no one seriously doubts their own existence. There are not 5 proofs of my existence. If I publish 5 proofs of Sarvapriyananda's existence, 9 proofs, nobody will, it will not sell. Nobody will buy it. Nobody is interested. People know that you exist, and especially you know you exist. You cannot deny your own existence. That's what we said, Atman, my own existence is undeniable. But then what is the problem with the self-inquiry path? The problem is, you'll say, yeah, my existence is undeniable, whoever questioned it, but my existence, undeniable existence, is surrounded by endless problems. I have financial problems, health problems. If I didn't exist, it would have been better. But financial problems, health problems, relationship problems, and now Vedantic spiritual problems, God realization problems, so many problems I'm surrounded with. God, on the other hand, has an advantage. God has no problem at all. Omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent, all the omnis, supremely powerful. What problem? Absolutely problem-free. Only one thing, if God exists. That's the only catch, if God exists. Contrast it. Now, I will bring in, and also spiritual seekers, if you look, I have asked them once who became monks, why did you become monks? What are you looking for? Some of them said, we are searching for God. God realization. Narendranath goes to to Sri Ramakrishna and says, have you seen God? I'm searching for God. Some others said, well, God is all right, but I want to know who am I. So our mental makeup also can be of these 2 types. Either our spiritual makeup is primarily God-oriented, in which case you are likely to be devotional, or primarily self-inquiry oriented, in which case you are likely to be more meditative or philosophical. Okay. Here we are. Now I am bringing in Mahavakya, tatwamasi, that thou art. What the Mahavakya is saying, what you reach on the God-seeking path and what you reach on the self-inquiry path is the same one. What the self-inquiry path will reveal, what the search for God will reveal, is the same reality. Meister Eckhart, I'm fond of quoting that beautiful quote. The ground of my soul and the ground of God are one and the same ground. What is the ground of my soul? That in the middle, pure consciousness. What is the ground of God? That one in the middle, pure consciousness. They are one and the same. That's the meaning of Advaita Vedanta. What you find in self-inquiry and what you find on the path of seeking God is one and the same reality. That's the meaning of tatwamasi. Why it is such a beauty is this. It brings together the advantages of the path of self-inquiry and the advantages of the God-seeking path and brings it into one, minus the disadvantages. How? What is the advantage of self-inquiry path? Indubitable existence of myself. So that one Vedanta takes. Yes, you certainly exist. But what is the disadvantage of self-inquiry path? This thing which I certainly exist, but it's so limited. It's born, it dies, it suffers, it complains and grumbles. It is such a miserable little thing. It surely exists, but it's a horrible little thing which exists. And on the other hand, God, what is the advantage of the God side? Infinite, limitless. Disadvantage? Paroksha, doubtful. On one side you have an infinite but doubtful entity. On the other side you have an absolutely sure, certain but limited entity. You bring them together for an absolutely certain, limitless entity, which is that pure consciousness. That pure consciousness, if you would just see it, first of all see that it's absolute, I am consciousness, absolutely certain, there's no doubt about it, it can't be doubted. See that for yourself. Ask every possible question, try to doubt it, you'll see you cannot. The more we appreciate what is meant by I am awareness, we'll see it cannot be doubted. Then next see the limitlessness of awareness. To see the limitlessness of awareness, you need the doctrine of the falsity of the world. That which seems to limit you is actually not a limit. The mind is not a limit. The body is not a limit. This world and other beings are not a limit. They are all me. It's me without any limit that extends infinitely in space and time. Even space and time appear and float in me. So, here's the conclusion. Tatwamasi reveals to you your own indubitable, absolutely certain existence and its limitlessness, its infinitude. Done. Problem solved. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. Tell us your name and ask the question. There is a place to ask the question there. Yes.
It seems to me that in this path that supposedly puts together the advantages of both sides, I'm still left with wondering, well, all this reasoning sounds good, but I still wonder whether by self-inquiry I can reach that infinite. I'm certain that I believe I exist. I don't believe it's a superstition. If I believed only in matter, then I'd have to accept that it's only a superstition. But I believe that I exist, but that this limited consciousness can actually be infinite. That, I believe, many great sages have realized that, and their realization engenders faith in me. But still, I have to have faith.
No, that's true.
The reasoning doesn't overwhelm me.
Yes. So this is the question. One part of it seems to be clear, that yes, so the certainty of my own existence is not really open to doubt, but Descartes pointed it out, cogito ergo sum. So, but it's still a lovely thing to dwell upon for a while. That it's very interesting that everything can be doubted, but my own existence cannot be doubted. Why not? It's something to meditate upon, to stay with it. But then, it seems very limited. Why it seems limited? Because we are associated with this body and mind. I am, but I can't shrug it off. The physical side of it, the mental side of it, emotional side of it. And they are all sources of pain and limitation to me. They're problematic. And also the belief in the existence of the other. This body, world, this is an other to me. The object is something different from me. That limits me. I am not unlimited. I am limited in space and time. So that is very difficult to overcome. Krishna said, when Arjuna asked him this question, which is better? This path of, non-dual Vedanta or devotional path? Krishna said the devotional path is better. Why? He said, Avyakta hi gatir dukkham dehavadbhi ravapyate. The path of the unmanifest Brahman is very difficult, beset with difficulties for those who are deeply connected with the body. Connected means identified with the body. That's why the first step in Vedanta is always to see that I am not the body-mind. Otherwise, it makes no sense to say I am infinite. No, I am not. I am just this body. So that must become it must become very clear. My awareness identity must become clear. Otherwise, it won't work. But it doesn't have to be. That's the beauty of the Vedantic approach. You can take a devotional approach, you can take a self-inquiry approach. For those who take a devotional approach, the way is, for when you see all this, Dakshinamurti can be a devotional chant, can be a prayer to Dakshinamurti, can be a prayer to Shiva, can be a devotional approach to Shiva. And the knowledge side of it, the Vedantic side of it, like we are all here, we have heard it, we have understood it, and just keep it that way. That's an understanding. As you said, I feel that some great sages have realized the infinitude of consciousness, and I feel inspired by that. The arguments also, it's not that I do not understand the arguments, but they don't seem to affect me very vitally. They don't shift me. It doesn't spark anything in me. So in that case, we just leave it like that. So what is called bracketing. You bracket it and leave it like that. And we remain in this status of, I am the Jiva, that is Ishvara, and what is the relationship of the left side to the right side? Devotion. Devotion, God. And I know in some sense, on Sarvapriyananda's whiteboard, we are one. But otherwise, I am comfortable with this. Hanuman, when he was asked, his answer, as the body, I am your servant. Rama is on this side, Hanuman on this side. As the body, I am your servant. As the Jiva, I am your part. As pure consciousness, you and I are one. Which one is correct? Hanuman says, all of them are correct. He's a Mahagyani and Mahabhakta. He can be fully devotional. He's a great karma yogi, great meditator, great devotee, and a great Jnani. All of them. That's why Vivekananda loved the character of Hanuman. A perfect model. So he says, all three are correct. The first one is the Dvaita approach, Advaita Vedanta. The second one, I am part of you, is the Vishishta Dvaita approach. The third one, I am you, or you are that. So that is the Advaita approach. So my reaction would be, that's fine, just leave it alone. You don't have to be dismissive about it. You can listen, learn, even master it, but that need not be your path. I remember there was this book, Argument in Late Vedanta. Phyllis Granoff, this American scholar, lady, the most difficult book in Advaita Vedanta, in the way of knowledge, the Advaita Vedanta, most difficult book ever in this tradition is called Khandana Khandakadya. It means the cookies of refutation. Khandakadya means sweets, pastries or cookies. The cookies of refutation, where he attacks all of the systems of philosophy, and when all are dismissed, all are refuted, he says the Advaitic truth is self-shining. It should become evident. But it's very, very dense and written in a peculiar poetic philosophical style, very difficult to crack. Why I'm saying this is, she went to Pune in India to this great Pandit, I've forgotten his name now, who taught her, and he would teach only in Sanskrit, and she had to learn Sanskrit enough to understand advanced Advaita dialectics. And he taught her. At the same time, he was teaching the Professor V.N. Jha, who became, from whom I learned Nyaya philosophy. So this Pandit, at the same time, he was teaching the most advanced Vedanta text to this American scholar and teaching the most advanced dualistic Nyaya text to this Indian scholar. So he was equally a master of advanced Vedanta and advanced dualism and advanced non-dualism. And I don't know in his private life what was his practice. Maybe he was the devotee of being Maharashtra of Vittala, the devotee of Vittala or devotee of Krishna or of Rama. We never know. He could have, in his private life, he might be simply devoted to his, beloved Gopal or Krishna. And in his professional life, he is a master of both dualism and non-dualism. You can do that. Yes.
My name is Raj Pava from Miami. Swamiji, again, thank you. Thank you for a nice presentation. I have really appreciated. My question is on the right and the left, self and non-self. Before I ask a question, let me give you an scientific example. In the immune system in the body, we have two parts, self, in which, and the non-self. In non-self, when the bacteria or anything invades, we get rid of it. In the self, we don't make antibodies because it's our own body. But when the self system breaks down, we produce autoantibodies and we get a lupus and rheumatoid arthritis and everything. So my question, based on the scientific thing, on the right and the left, is there any possibility that the self on the left breaks down? As you said, when the wind, I could not see the shadow. And if I live in a Chicago, windy city, maybe 1/3 of the time I may not be able to see the shadow. So my question is there any possibility of a breakdown in the self? What will be the implications? And is there any balance between the self and non-self will occur?
Yes. Remember, in the scientific sense, the self is the body. Here on the left-hand side, there is the body, there is the mind, and beyond that, pure consciousness, causal body and pure consciousness. So in the scientific sense, it's only the physical body. In scientific sense, even mind is not considered. So, but there is a possibility of the breakdown. In the Gita, it is said that the self alone is your best friend, the self alone is your worst enemy. That Bandhur atma atmanastasya yena atmani atmana jitaha. So, the self is your own best friend, the self is your worst enemy. Which self is your best friend? Which self is your worst enemy? A doctor can also answer that. The bodily self is your best friend if the body is healthy. The bodily self is your worst enemy if the body is unhealthy. The doctor will tell you that. The psychiatrist will tell you that. The mind which is under control is your best friend. The mind which is uncontrolled, unhealthy is your worst enemy. So the self, as the body mind, can be our best friend, can be our worst enemy. The healthy body and trained mind is our best friend. The unhealthy body and the untrained, uncontrolled mind is our worst enemy. Yes.
Pranam Swami, Deepak Nirula. Thank you for uplifting us as you do every year. It's spectacular when we are here. My question, actually, Bill partially asked my question. And my question is, for the realized souls, they know the Siddha, they know the Mahavakyas. They just know it. It is the truth to them.
Yes.
But for the rest of us, that Sankara refers to as the dull ones, who think about us as body-mind complex, with consciousness, which you have taught us over the years, and every day it gets more ingrained in us, but still we think we are the body-mind complex. We still are not over that. For us to get to that realization, it has to happen in the mind.
Yes.
Right? Where else could it happen?
Yes.
The mind is an object. Consciousness is the subject. So the object has to realize the subject. That creates a certain dissonance that tells me that it will never happen for me. Because I am just the object. How can I possibly realize the subject? And so maybe, as Bill pointed out, you can tell yourself that you're consciousness, but when you want to now take it and expand it to say, tatwamasi, aham brahmasmi, I mean, that is just such a huge leap. And where will that leap happen other than in the head?
Yes. The answer there is that, yes, it will happen in the mind. There's nowhere else. Knowledge happens in the mind only. As one Swami said in his teaching, will it happen in your kidney? It will happen in the mind. Where else will the knowledge happen? It's not going to happen in your knees or your... so, knowledge will happen in the mind only. But in Vedanta, the function of knowledge is not to reveal to you that you are Brahman. In Vedanta, the function of knowledge is to remove the ignorance, the wrong notion that you are not Brahman. The example given is, our line of sight is blocked by a patch of cloud, and I don't see the sun. Although the sun is shining, even when it seems to be not there, because the cloud is covering the sun. Now a gust of wind comes in the sky here and removes this cloud, and then I can see the sun. Nothing happened in the sun. The problem was in the atmosphere, and it was removed by a solution in the atmosphere. Sun is ever shining. Similarly, here the sun is you yourself. Will it happen in the mind? Yes. Can the mind realize that I am Brahman? Yes and no. That we'll see tomorrow. What is knowledge? What is enlightenment? What is the difference between ordinary knowledge? How is it possible? And what is this enlightenment, realization of Brahman? Courtesy of verse number 4. Next. What is enlightenment will come there. But the basic principle is this. Yes, it requires the mind. But the problem in the mind is removed by the solution in the mind. The solution is knowledge, which is generated by all this. And when we do realize it, we will realize that the mind did not actually illumine Brahman. Brahman is self-luminous, so it is ever shining, ever radiant. That was noticed or seen for a fact. Yeah, that's all. Dehypnotizing.
Dehypnotizing the mind.
Exactly. Hypnosis is in the mind, and dehypnosis also must be in the mind.
Which still, sorry to continue, but which still begs that the mind really is very important. The question that the mind really is very important in all this.
Yes.
And then that brings the next question, that what kind of creation is this? What kind of universe is this? Where absent the mind, you cannot actually realize your true nature. You gave the example of the cow, that it experiences dualities. It eats grass, it is the cow, the self, and then there's the grass. Right? There is duality everywhere. And the only people who can realize that are those with a mind that's sophisticated enough or blessed enough to get it. That also seems hard to believe that is the creation that has been put in place over here.
True. But notice that if the self of the cow and the grass and all of us who are ignorant, who are enlightened, who are trying for enlightenment, in all our cases the self is the same Brahman. There is complete democracy there. So, even if it manifests as a cow or grass or whatever it is, at no point has any problem arisen. Just as in the lake, there is no problem at all if in a particular place you see a reflection of a tree, another place you see a reflection of a sky, another place a reflection of a bird. It is, no matter how diverse it seems, it's just the lake. Similarly, it is just Brahman. No matter how tremendously diverse and peculiar and complicated it seems, it's just like that. Our dreams can get enormously complicated. And we can feel a whole range of emotions in a dream. And we can see all sorts of weird things in a dream. And yet when we wake up, it is nothing, nothing, nothing. But the reality was always there. The dreamer was always there. Nothing does not mean absolutely nothing. It does not mean zero. It means the reality was always there. Brahman was always there. In the misperception, this distortion is there. Again, look at the enlightened person's perspective. Those who we believe to be enlightened. They did not say that the world is weird. It's only when we read all this philosophy and then put this philosophy in conjunction with the world, it seems a little weird. But when a person who is supposed to be enlightened in the light of this philosophy, Ramakrishna, Vivekananda, Ramana Maharshi, Ma Sharada and others, none of them say, all right, I have realized I am Brahman, but this world is very peculiar. No. For them, this world is just a manifestation of Brahman. It's Brahman shining forth in very many ways, but it's perfectly all right as long as it is Brahman. Right.
Pranam Maharaj, my name is Priyanka. So my question is on Adhyaropa Apavada. There are two parts to it. So the first part is this process of desuperimposition seems to take a lot of effort and time. And if we apply the principle of causality, would it mean that the reverse process of superimposition also took significant effort? So that's one question. And the second part is...
Hold on to the second part.
Okay.
It's just the other way around. Superimposition, we have been doing it for millions and billions of years and lifetime after lifetime. Desuperimposition takes a flash. At the most, it might take one, or if you're a particularly lazy Vedantic seeker, it might take 2 lifetimes or 3 lifetimes. But usually it should be done in 1 lifetime. And it can be done even faster than that. You can cut through it straight away. Because it's, as Sri Ramakrishna said, 1,000 years of darkness in a room. You strike a matchstick. Will the darkness go away slowly or in a flash? It will go away in a flash. All my ignorance, all my past karmas, my sins, and God knows what all I have done in past lives, the enormous mountain of it, how will it go? This all seems like little philosophy compared to such enormous ignorance and sin, bad karma and all of that. How will it go? You can switch up the AC now. I think it's becoming, people are putting on sweaters. Sri Ramakrishna's reply was, it's a mountain of cotton. Put fire to it, it will burn up in a trice. So desupimposition is very fast and very efficient. It cuts through lifetimes of superimposition in a flash. Look at the Vedanta Sara text. There is chapter after chapter for superimposition. And desupimposition, Apavada, is one chapter. It's done in a flash. Yes, second question.
I guess my question was also that it seems to take so much effort. Like even if a person is convinced that this must be it, it feels like there's a lot that needs to be done to actually realize
yes, it is
this.
true. It is effort. But remember the effort we have put in superimposition. Lifetimes of effort being miserable, horrible, unethical, distracted, going through many lifetimes of human and animal births, and so much effort we have put in. To reverse that will take a little bit of effort. Yes.
So part B was, since both superimposition and desupimposition, do both of them involve time in it? And if they do, are both of them within Maya? Both ignorance and knowledge?
Right. Do both of them involve time? Yes, they involve time. But in one sense, both superimposition and desupimposition are instantaneous. The moment there is ignorance, superimposition has started. The moment there is knowledge, desupimposition is over. So in one sense, instantaneous. It's like superimposition of the snake on the rope. Does it take time or not? In one sense, the moment we're ignorant of the rope and we have some fear of snakes, that's enough for instantaneously seeing the rope as a snake. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, that's an important part. Is it within Maya? The whole thing is within Maya. Superimposition is certainly within Maya. Desupimposition is also within Maya. Bondage is within Maya. Liberation is within Maya. Sri Ramakrishna would say, Mahamayar Elaka. This is all the domain, the arena of the Divine Mother. Your samsara, your struggles in life, lifetime after lifetime, all controlled by the Divine Mother. Our sadhana, meditation, devotion, yoga, Vedanta, all of it is in the realm of the Divine Mother. Holy Mother asked Swami Brahmananda, he sent a message in Benares, ask Rakhal, why is Shakti to be worshipped? You are monks. You go on saying, I am Brahman, I am Brahman. Why are you bothering with worshipping the Divine Mother? So Swami Brahmananda, president of the Ramakrishna order, he sent back his reply. Mayer hate brahmogyanet chabikati. Even if you don't want anything in this world, nothing, you just want enlightenment, which you are Brahman. That's all you want. That enlightenment also, the keys to that are in the hands of the Divine Mother. There's something in classical Vedanta also, that this Maya which obstructs us is also, it's not an absence, it's a positive force. So you need the grace of the Divine Mother. She needs to step aside and let you through. Sri Ramakrishna said, Ramachandra is walking, Sita is right behind him, obscuring, covering him up. And Lakshmana, the Jiva, is tagging along behind. Only if Sita moves aside and lets Lakshmana see, line of sight, then only he can see Ramachandra, otherwise not. And she's not being evil here. She's giving us exactly what we want. She's doing everything for us. We want bhoga, we want samsara. He's getting that. When the child does not want to play, the mother will come and take the child on her lap. Yeah. Last question.
Nams Maharaj, before I ask the question, you have to remember I'm Alpa Shakti woman. So don't get offended. So I understand tatwamasi very clearly. The ground of God and the ground of humans are one and the same. That is clear to me. But why is it being used in Dakshinamurti Stotra? Is it because it's slightly religious too?
What is being used in Dakshinamurti?
So this tatwamasi is being used here. Why is this convoluted method used? Why can't any other Mahavakya be used? Why tatwamasi? Because this is like 2 steps. Ground of God, ground of humans is consciousness. So instead of other Mahavakyas directly pointing.
No, all Mahavakyas are like this.
But this points to Ishvara.
Yes.
And it's saying the ground of Ishvara and the ground of human is the same.
The same, yes. There's no other way. All you have is the subject and the object. All you have is yourself and all of this. You have to find out what you are, you have to find out what all this is. And you will find both of them are the same thing. You cannot directly access pure consciousness. By any language, by any philosophy, everything will refer to something in this world. What else? There is no direct access. We might talk about pure consciousness, pure being, Nirguna Brahman. There is no direct way of pointing it out.
But what about Aham Brahmasmi?
Aham Brahmasmi is exactly the same thing.
So it's also talking
Yes,
to
yes.
Ishvara.
Aham
It's
means,
not,
what is Aham? Jiva. What is Brahman? Saguna Brahman. But I am that. How? I, the Jiva, am not the body, not the mind, pure consciousness. Saguna Brahman is pure consciousness, and therefore we are one. All Mahavakyas have to go through this process.
So no Mahavakya is Nirguna Brahman, it is Saguna Brahman.
All
Because that's what we say.
Mahavakyas are Nirguna Brahman.
Oh, then
That is the meaning of, that's why. All this talk about implied meaning, direct meaning, why is this? What is the point of it? Here is the point. The language of the Mahavakyas, the direct language, refers to Saguna Brahman. The implied meaning is Nirguna Brahman. You and Brahman are one and the same Nirguna Brahman. But Jiva and Saguna Brahman are not one and the same. When you write it down, Aham, see naturally, what does Aham refer to? See, literally, look at your actual experience. What does the word I refer to? This body-mind. What does that refer to? This cosmos. And we have to believe there is a God behind this cosmos. So automatically it refers to Saguna Brahman, it refers to Jiva. You cannot get to Nirguna Brahman without going through Saguna Brahman. You cannot get to Nirguna Brahman without going through the Divine Mother. It's only by the grace. All of what we do is without the grace of God, none of this is possible.
Thank you, Maharaj. Actually, I didn't know this.
Yes.
I thought it was
No. I refer you back to Vedanta Sara again. Mahavakyas. Mahavakya, the Aham and the Brahman. Aham Brahmasmi. Aham is Jiva, Brahman is Saguna Brahman. Ayam Atma Brahma. This Atma is Brahman. Ayam Atma is the Jiva, Jivatma. Brahman is Paramatma. Prajnanam Brahma. Prajnanam is our Vishishta Chaitanya. This seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, talking. And Brahman is Saguna Brahman. But if you put them together, implied meaning will be pure consciousness, Nirguna Brahman. The implied meaning of all the Mahavakyas is Nirguna Brahman. But the direct meaning of the Mahavakyas is Jiva and Saguna Brahman. The equation between Jiva and Saguna Brahman. That's why all the Dvaita schools have strong opposition to it. You cannot, it's crazy to say you are God. And Advaita says we are not saying directly that we are God. We are saying what we truly are and what God truly is one and the same. But as God, the wave can never be the ocean. As Shankaracharya sings, the ocean never belongs to the wave always belongs to the ocean. But wave and ocean are both water. Ultimately, greater than the wave is the ocean, but greater than wave and ocean is the water. Because the water itself comes as the ocean and the wave. Water, Nirguna Brahman. Ocean, Saguna Brahman. Wave, Jiva.
Thank you.
Good.